The man to avenge his father will be 100 pounds of stones on the body, doing push-ups on the stake to exercise their strength. After pretending to be mute to learn Kung Fu in Shaolin Temple, he wears iron shoes every day to go down the mountain to pick water. Where the foot has 1,000 pounds, you must use the whole body strength to focus on the foot to move. This is the basis of Shaolin Temple light Kung Fu. But if practice makes perfect, you can be as light as a swallow and walk on the wall and water. That said, but it is not easy. Mute feet wearing iron shoes shoulder 2 buckets of water can walk is already very powerful. How can climb this steep slope it? Only to see the brothers one by one over their own. Tired mute ready to put down 2 buckets of water to rest. But the bottom of the bucket is pointed. Cannot land. The final basket of water is empty. Long accustomed to this practice of the brothers have finished picking. Mute half a bucket of water is not yet full. The master naturally thought he was lazy and expelled him from the master. The mute kneeled down and kowtowed to his mistakes, until his shoulders were worn out before he picked a bucket full of water. But this is only part of the morning practice. The next must also cut firewood. Cutting firewood during the pick up his father's relics, remembering the scene of his enemies killed his father, which is the motivation to make his will strong. At this time, the drunkard uncle passed by, saw the mute in tears, admonished the mute. Chopping wood and picking water is the basis of Shaolin internal medicine. Pick water in the feet, chopping wood in the arms. Through the upper and lower 2 veins is the highest level of internal energy. Seeing the alcoholic uncle so understand, he knelt down and wanted to learn Kung Fu from the master. The alcoholic uncle did not agree on the surface, but let the mute watch him go up the mountain. He took the opportunity to teach Kung Fu to the mute to see. The mute saw it and then had an understanding and practiced diligently. The drunken master saw it and also occasionally instructed. This day the mute saw 2 young monks with something in their hands sneaking into a cave. The mute followed, only to see the cave entrance written Buddhist forbidden places. Could not resist the curiosity of the mute, still followed, only to see 2 monks came to a large prison inside the detention of a big devil. The big devil was very bored with the 2 young monks and yelled that he wanted to drink and then spilled the food. After the 2 young monks left, they wanted to pick up the buns on the ground to eat. The mute looked at him with pity, so he peeled the buns and fed them to him. The big devil took the steamed bun and gobbled it up shamelessly and asked the mute to bring some wine next time he came. But this is Shaolin Temple. Who will have wine except the drunken uncle? Take advantage of the mealtime. Little mute stole the alcoholic poetry book of wine to the big devil to taste. It's been a long time since I've had a glass of wine. The big devil asked what happened today to make the 2 young monks come late. The mute then told the story of his brother's failure to learn the art of breaking into Woodman's Alley. The big devil said if he went out to have to break up the wooden man, although the mute did not believe. The great devil said he was locked in here to practice a masterpiece. The lion roar can cut off gold and iron with a single roar. The great devil told him to bring more wine next time so that once he is happy he may teach him the ability to fight the shepherd statue, so that he knows what it means to be the world's greatest master. The mute was caught in flagrante delicto again when he stole wine from the drunkard's uncle and not only received a severe beating but was also punished by cleaning the kitchen. When the punishment was lifted and he went to see the big devil again, the big devil was confused and he was hot and cold. The mute care moved to the big devil, asked what the mute had learned. Mute did the action of cutting wood and picking water. The big devil said, the monk does not teach you, I will teach. From then on, he taught the mute martial arts every day. The mute then began to practice the martial arts taught by the devil in the woods. Although the great devil's martial arts from Shaolin, but every move straight to the vitals, striking hard and fierce. He was seen by a teacher. The teacher told the mute martial arts is the way to nourish the body. You must be right in the heart and teach the mute a set of snake fist, trying to help him correct the vicious moves. This is the stance. This kind of footwork to practice in tongue oil. But the mute in the oil cannot stand still. The master told him to practice the foundation of cutting wood and picking water will be able to get twice the result with half the effort. Mute daytime practiced the basic skills in the master to learn the body technique, and at night to find the devil to learn martial arts. Months after the mute finally out of the master, the big devil then approved the mute can break into the Woodman Lane, Shaolin Temple, and instructed that the 2 of us absolutely cannot leak things. Let the mute kneel down and swear to heaven if you break the oath of heaven and earth will never live again. He asked the mute to take the token, handed to the corner of the Changchun Hall in Qinghe Town Pal. The next day the mute will brave the wood alley, must break out of the wood alley within a column of incense. After the guidance of a senior natural mute, no problem. In a column of incense almost extinguished when broke out. The last fireplace top printed on the dragon and tiger logo is the real Shaolin disciples. Mute down the mountain after the abbot recognized his martial arts is the big devil taught. Want to end his life. But in the end, the abbot was merciful and let hand over the big devil's token, but the mute had made a poisonous oath naturally refused. The abbot has realized that Shaolin will have a disaster. Just hope that if there is a disaster when the bamboo tube to the ancestor Lingkong master. The mute went down the mountain and followed the request of the great devil. The boss took the board not to find the master of the Green Dragon Gang. Big Devil turned out to be the boss of the Green Dragon Gang. The message of his token is that on the 7th day of the 7th month he will escape from Shaolin and let all the youngsters meet him. The mute side of the meal to see the Green Dragon Gang's boys drinking and then began to molest the innkeeper's daughter. The little woman refused to start a big fight, but naturally, the mute could not stand it and came to his aid. The innkeeper was very grateful to the mute and placed him in the inn. Big Devil Lion Roar cultivation success, also escaped from life. Just out of the first thing is a killing spree. Find the year escort him to Shaolin sect revenge. Shaolin naturally cannot sit idly by and send 18 Luohan to catch. 18 Luohan Kung Fu is strong. The big devil, even if the powerful, cannot be a person against 18 experts. Mute happened to pass by here and saw the big devil in trouble, so he asked Fatty to help the big devil escape. Mute and Fatty returned to the inn and found a man asking around for news of the Green Dragon Gang. Mute and Fatty returned to the inn and found a man asking for information about the Green Dragon Gang, but the mute found that this person used a very similar move to that of his father's enemy. But he was no match for him. The mute was discouraged and prepared to take the bamboo tube to the ancestor, Master Lingkong. Master Lingkong got the bamboo tube to send a letter but let the ancestor change the mute's fierce nature. It turns out that the great devil was a Shaolin disciple before, because the great devil martial arts skills to learn. Down the mountain to create the Green Dragon Gang evil, and finally by the 3 major sects of folk escort back to Shaolin. Therefore, the ancestor Lingkong master feel that they have no pearl. The cost of both eyes dismissed the abbot to hide in the mountains. At this time, the abbot came to the ancestor to report that the great devil has practiced the lion's roar, but later to attack Shaolin. At this time, the ancestor has been sitting in the imminent cannot help. When leaving will be their own heavenly program of the palace of Fushijai passed to the mute. To eliminate harm to the martial arts, mute and the abbot's teaching began to practice will be 100 pounds of stone pressed on the body, with all their strength on the stake to do push-ups. After the success of the great demon king provoked the door, Shaolin's dragon, snake, tiger, leopard and crane 5 guardian has been killed in the hands of the great demon king. But after all, the great demon king is his own master, cannot bear to fight him. But in the abbot's persuasion finally to fight. On the verge of a battle when the old man in red who used the same moves as his father's enemy came. It turns out that the old man in red is the same as himself to find the murderer, so used the same moves to lure out the enemy. At this time, the big devil came to fight. The old man in red first to fight. The big devil used the move to recognize the mute's father's murderer is the big devil. Finally found the real culprit. Mute directly up to answer the battle fiercely stared at the big devil, opened his mouth to speak. Questioned the big devil why he killed his father. Said he made a vow not to speak if he could not find his father's enemy. Mute will be more than 10 years of anger all issued. Now the mute and the big devil can be evenly matched and have their own snake service 8-part to avoid attacks. The great devil had to use the lion's roar. But after the practice of heaven and earth, voodoo mute can withstand such an attack. Finally the mute defeated the big devil. But once a teacher, always a father. So let the big devil back to Shaolin with the master arrangement. But he is ultimately the big devil. The surface expression of emotion to convince the mute but directly make the killing move. But did not think that the final killing move killed himself. The mute finally shaved off his hair and became a Shaolin monk.